Rescuers found my tent on the third day after I disappeared in the Appalachian backwoods. No tracks, no clues. They found only my phone lying in the dirt a few feet from the tent.
Where the hell could I have gone?
No footprints, no reason, nothing to follow.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
"3 days earlier, everything felt normal. I'd come out here alone to clear my head, to get away from the noise of people and deadlines and constant expectations. The woods were the only place where my thoughts didn't feel like static. The first 3 days were peaceful in that quiet, old mountain way. A little cold, a little damp, but predictable. I hiked, cooked simple meals, slept under a sky so dark it looked bottomless. Nothing strange, nothing alarming. Not yet. On the morning of day 4, I stepped out of my tent and froze. Footprints. Bare ones. Human. The ground was firm and slick from the night's frost. My own boot prints were obvious. These others, they shouldn't have been there. No one was camping anywhere near me. I hadn't seen a single soul since I arrived. And who walks barefoot here? In October? In the freezing dark of the Appalachian Ridge? I crouched down, staring at the prints, and a cold prickle crawled along my neck. The tracks weren't old. The edges were sharp, not softened by wind or melt. Someone had been standing right outside my tent hours earlier. I should have packed up and left. I should have hiked straight back to the trailhead. Anyone else would have. But something inside me, curiosity, stupidity, whatever you want to call it, held me in place. I kept thinking there had to be a reasonable explanation. A lost hiker, a prank, anything but the gut-tightening alternative. So instead of leaving, I made a plan. That night, before going to sleep, I set my phone on a small tripod of sticks I built myself. A simple idea: point the camera at my tent and record the exterior while I slept. If someone was walking around camp, I'd catch them. As darkness settled in, the forest grew unnervingly still. Not the restful stillness from the days before, but a heavy, pressing kind that made the air feel thicker. I crawled into my sleeping bag, telling myself I'd stay awake, that I'd listen for footsteps, that I'd be ready. I wasn't. Sometime after midnight, sleep dragged me under like deep water. I don't remember the moment I drifted off, just the distant, uneasy feeling that I shouldn't be sleeping at all. When I woke at dawn, everything looked eerily familiar. Except for one thing. The footprints had returned. More of them this time, closer, some stopping inches from the tent door. My hands trembled as I grabbed the phone from its makeshift stand. The battery was nearly drained. But the recording was there. A long video, beginning at midnight, ending abruptly at 3:17 a.m. I sat on a cold log, breath fogging in front of me, and hit play, because whatever happened during those missing hours, I needed to see it. The video started normally. Just my tent under the pale moonlight, unmoving, silent. The forest looked frozen in place, as if something had muted the world. Then, at 2:58 a.m., the camera jolted, just once, like something heavy stepped close by. I leaned toward the screen. Nothing. Just still darkness. For almost 20 seconds, the frame didn't change. But the air looked thicker. As if something invisible had seeped into the edges of the clearing. And then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., something stepped into view. A silhouette. Tall. Wrong. It didn't walk. Its movements were too smooth, too fluid, like it was gliding on a track. The proportions were impossible. Arms too long, hanging past where knees should be. Head tilted far to one side like a broken hinge. It stopped inches from my tent. My heartbeat hammered so hard I could feel it in my teeth. Then the worst part happened. The tent flap lifted, and I watched myself walk out into the cold. I wasn't stumbling or dazed. I didn't look disoriented. I walked straight toward the silhouette with purpose, like I was answering a call only I could hear. My mouth moved. I whispered something to it. Fast, urgent. But the mic picked up nothing but static, thick, warping, like the forest itself was humming. The silhouette leaned toward me, its head lowered to my ear. The camera crackled. The frame bent sideways. A white flash tore across the screen. Video over. Battery dead. Corrupted. No answers. I replayed it 3 times, each time feeling more sick. I didn't remember leaving the tent. I didn't remember anything after midnight. And seeing myself walk willingly into the dark, it almost made me pack up and run. Almost. But something heavier than fear kept me there. A need to understand, to know what had whispered to me. So I stayed. I rebuilt the stick tripod, checked the battery, tightened every knot on the guy lines. I sat by the faint glow of the fire, knife in hand, though I knew it wouldn't matter. By midnight, my nerves were stretched tight. I forced myself awake. I waited for about an hour. Then, my eyelids grew heavy. My thoughts slowed. My body sagged forward, like something warm was pulling me down. No, stay awake, I whispered to myself. But the weight behind my eyes deepened, and deepened, and deepened, until it swallowed everything. Darkness. No sound. No memories. No dreams. Just a silent, heavy void. My friends sounded the alarm when I stopped replying for several days. At first, they assumed I was out of service. But when I didn't show up for work, something I had never once done, my supervisor contacted the ranger station. By noon, a rescue team was already moving into the Appalachian backwoods, with my last GPS location pulled up on their devices. The fog hit them first. Not normal mountain fog. This was thick, unmoving, like a wall of pale smoke clinging unnaturally low to the ground. Every footstep felt muffled. Every shout died too quickly in the air. They reached my campsite just after sunrise on the 3rd day of searching. My tent stood exactly where it should have been. Zipped, clean, neatly pitched. My pack was inside. My stove, my journal, all arranged the way I'd left them. But I wasn't there. No footprints were around the tent. No scuff marks. No trails showing I'd walked away. Just one thing lying on the ground, a few feet from the tent. My phone. The battery was nearly dead. The screen cracked. Mud smeared across the casing. But when one ranger pressed the power button, the device flickered to life. There was a single new video file, time-stamped the night I disappeared. The rescuers huddled around as the footage began to play. At first, the camera showed the tent, still, silent, nothing moving but fog slowly sliding across the frame, like something breathing. Then, at 3:04 a.m., the tent flap shifted, and I stepped out, barefoot, expression blank, eyes half open, like someone walking in a trance. "Is he sleepwalking?" a ranger murmured, but another shook his head before the question even finished. On the video, I moved with too much intention, too much focus. I whispered something, fast, urgent, but the microphone caught only a smear of broken static. It didn't sound like interference. It sounded layered, like two voices overlapping, mine and something lower, vibrating under it. I walked forward, toward the tree line. The camera's night mode struggled to focus on the fog, but my outline was visible. Thin, sharp, pulling slightly forward, as if someone had grabbed my shoulders and was guiding me. Then I stopped. My head tilted up, towards something the camera couldn't see. My lips moved again, faster, more frantic. The audio distorted. The ground-level fog twisted, rolling like something was moving through it. And then, the camera jerked violently sideways, as if yanked. A deep, rising hum filled the speaker, shaking the rescuers' hands. The image tore into lines of static. Then, a flash. Bright, white, like lightning without sound. For a split second, the screen showed a warped shape beside me. Tall, narrow, leaning in close. Too close. But the frame corrupted before its outline became clear. And then the video ended. The battery died in the ranger's hand. That was the last known image of me. The rescue team followed the direction I'd walked in the video, but the fog swallowed everything. There were no footprints leading away, no broken twigs, no dropped gear, nothing. It was as if I had stepped off the surface of the earth. One ranger wrote in his report, then crossed it out, that the silence in the woods felt like something was waiting for them to leave. He later admitted privately that he kept hearing faint whispers in the fog, but every time he turned his head, they stopped. My case was archived as unresolved disappearance. No evidence, no remains, no trace. Just a final recording of me walking towards something the camera could not see. If you ever find yourself camping alone in the Appalachians, and you wake at 3:17 a.m. to the sound of whispering, make sure the voice isn't yours.